Okay, so what are some things that we can do to help people with deconstructing, especially if we suspect they've had a crack in the brainwashing? Now, to be clear, it's really hard to engineer a crack in the brainwashing, and that is because as adults and teenagers, we buy into our own indoctrination. I'm Daniella, scholar of cults, extreme groups, and extremely bad leadership. I wrote a book about growing up in the Children of God religious cult where no matter what they did, they could not get me to believe in it. And then going into the US Army where I bought in on day one. You can get signed copies attached here or listen to me read it to you wherever you get your audiobooks. So what can we do to help people deconstruct? Once people have had the crack in the brainwashing, it is usually just a matter of time until they come out. This Epstein list has been a big one for people. I think this freedom of speech impingement is going to be another big one for people, as it says in the comments. Would you share some current examples of how to gently assist deconstructing? I feel the free speech issue is peeling away a large portion, and it would be helpful for some guidance as to how to gently bring people away. So when I was doing my graduate degree, I had an interesting leadership professor who said, you never have to argue with people ever again. You just ask a lot of questions. Just ask the right questions. Just be curious, right? And I want to be very clear here. You do not have to forgive people. You do not have to forgive cult members ever. Forgiveness and healing are not connected. That is a false thing that we were taught by religious leaders that wanted to control people, okay? Do not have to forgive anyone. However, when people are coming out, if they don't find acceptance and understanding, they're often pushed back into a cult or into another cult or to do things like self-medicate or take their own lives. So it behooves us on the left to want to help people come out of it, whether or not we can find ourselves forgiving them. But asking a lot of questions, right? Cults are not based on logic. Nothing about MAGA is based on logic, right? So asking them a lot of questions about what they believe and why they believe it, and just giving them the chance to talk and not trying to argue them down, just asking them more questions. When they give you a position that infuriates you, remind yourself why you care about this person, and then ask them questions about why they feel that way. The thing about cracks is they're very good at letting the light in, no matter how small they are. And a person cannot argue themselves past a crack in the brainwashing. Hope this is helpful. I also think that one of the good ways that people can recognize coercive control in their own lives is to recognize it in parallel contexts. And while I know this sounds self-serving, you asked, I wrote this book for that, right? This book can be briefed as this amazing story of this girl who grew up in one of the world's worst cults and then became a captain in the army. Nobody thinks they're in a cult, so it's not going to set off any alarm bells. They'll read it and the book will do the work. Also, I've written this book, Culting of America, that I think will be very helpful for all of you to help your people deconstruct. And there's a workbook that comes along with it. There really is a deconstruction workbook. And I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of people in January who are going to be coming out of MAGA, who are going to be needing this book and this workbook. And if you are interested, you can get pre-orders attached here.